I had the same question every time I walked this way when I was a kid. Why is this high wall here? And can a wall really block sandstorms? It was only after I grew up that I realized it serves a more important purpose. Keeping out people like us.
Dea's line about the Wall of Samiel was something that really hit me hard in the feels. I went into this arc on quest thinking I was gonna see some juicy Scaramouche or the Tory lore, but then I was hit in the face with the cold, harsh analogies of real-world conflicts, and it's all because of a simple wall. Also, can I just say that the Wall of Samiel is technically not a wall, but a fence? Because a wall is supposed to be more solid and barricading, while fences are more loose and are usually wooden. So, if you think about it, the Wall of Samiel should technically be the fence of Samiel. Anyways, I'm going to be honest here and say that it's pretty damn good how Genshin handled this kind of conflict of Sumeru's entire narrative or story. I think it pretty much captures the essentials in understanding oppression, both the concepts of how oppressors do it, as well as how the oppressed react to it. It's not the be-all end-all of, oppression, but it definitely did cover how it worked. Please do note that my intention is not to undermine real-world issues or the concept of oppression by relating it to something as dumb as an anime video game. But I'm otherwise trying to convey how the usage of modern media such as anime video games are pretty impactful tools in movements and educating. Warning, this is an analysis video, not a theory video. This video will be very, very different from my usual. Take it as my interpretation of the whole Sumeru storyline. You're free to share your thoughts in the comments because I really love how different we can approach things, and I really, really like the broadness of Sumeru's story all in all. The Archon Quest really nailed how most oppressive forces utilize psychological means to take control or manipulate people. It's pretty fitting, considering that Sumeru is the land of wisdom. Therefore, they go to the point of weaponizing wisdom rather than an all-out physical hand-to-hand civil war in the likes of what happened in Inazuma. And what's funny about this is that Sumeru's take on oppression using psychological means is far more accurate to what happens in the real world rather than Inazuma's physical fighting means. I can give many examples of situations like this that has actually happened in the real world where forces use psychological means to take control of people or a country. But for now, I'll give one example. And this one example is a series of events that actually happened in my country. So let's go all the way back to 1946. The Philippines were finally granted independence from the United States. However, even after that, the US still had a great influence and power over sectors of the Philippines. Many didn't like that, of course, so there were very many rebellions that went against the hegemonic power that is America. America, being the absolute great country that they are, came up with an ingenious plan to control these rebellions. They heard that many, if not all, Filipinos are incredibly superstitious in regards to their folklores and myths. So the US decided that they should use the Filipinos' beliefs against them. So they started spreading rumors about how there's this vampire thing called the aswang in the mountain area. There was even this one time where they flew in helicopters and used speakers to play a random voice recording of someone threatening to cast an evil spell to all the Filipinos who supported the rebellions, which is insane. But doesn't it sound familiar? This entire thing about using a group of people's beliefs against them is literally shown in the majority of the Archon Quest. The Sumeru Academia led a misinformation campaign towards the Eremites claiming that their god, the Scarlet King, King Deshret, is going to be resurrected. All this simply so that they can control the uncertainty of the Eremites and maybe even get some of them on their side since, they are creating a new god. This is why I think they nailed the aspect of how oppressors have control and take control of a population. Because through psychological means, though however harsh it may be, it is still the ultimate thing that dictators and or hegemonic forces lean towards when trying to take over a people. It's just too reliable.
Sumeru is run by wise and mighty sages. To them, Us desert dwellers are nothing but tools that can be used and discarded at their whim. We're cheap labor, like livestock, but easier to control. Nothing more.
The academia's influence over Sumeru has gotten to a point where they exclude an entire group of people from ever having the chance to join the highest institution or even the ruling class over their own country. The prejudice and the way the people of Sumeru treat the Eremites is just incredibly unjust. Like, have you ever stopped and wondered why almost all mercenaries in Sumeru are Eremites?
You're not wrong. Mercenaries are driven by Mora, and my faith lies with whoever's paying me. As long as there's a profit to be made, anyone can become my friend.
Mora. Mora is the entire reason why many Eremites are mercenaries in the Land of Wisdom. Not because they wanted to become a mercenary, but simply to make a living out of it. They're not only being a victim of discrimination directly, but in an indirect way as well, such as financially or in an opportunity sense.
Geniuses like Sataria are one in a million. The other children never get a single chance to try and rewrite their fate. Even though the academia knows very well that we're humans, just as they are.
Even though many of young Eremites had aspirations that greater exceeds being a mere mercenary, they are still unable to reach it, where they are either discriminated against it or financially unstable to pursue it. They could probably be just as smart as those in the academia, but can't because they need to have Mora to sustain themselves, which is why, either way, they are still never able to rewrite their fate. This is the part where it made me realize how good of an analogy this part of the Archon Quest is. The topic heavily touched on real-world problems as well as the struggles that minorities and the oppressed face. Not only are they ridiculed or discriminated just for the color of their skin or perhaps where they came from or how they express themselves, but they are also hindered from feeling fulfilled and productive in society.
The Wall of Samiel isn't just there to keep out the sandstorms. It serves a more important purpose, keeping out people like us.
From all the Sumeru lore we can compile so far, the Wall of Samiel was created to innocently and simply prevent the desertification of Rukkhadevata's rainforest. It's as plain and as obvious as that. But the name of the wall is actually very interesting to me because of the meanings behind the name Samiel. Now, it could simply mean the other word for simum, which is, according to Collins' dictionary, a strong suffocating sand-laden wind of the deserts of Arabia and North Africa. Either it's just that, or it could also be a play on the name Samiel, who is an archangel of God, commonly confused as the fallen angel or Satan. However, Samiel is more of a character that is necessary evil, wherein his actions result in something good. Examples of this are, I guess, punishing sinners or getting his hands dirty to fulfill a request from God, which is why, though he does evil things, he is considered a servant of God. His story is not the most organized one since very many versions of theogonies and scriptures that involve him portray his character differently each time. In some cases, he was the one who tempted Adam and Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, and in other cases, he was just the only one who planted the tree of knowledge. This is the reason why he is sometimes seen as the fallen angel or the angel of death or a mere angel who serves God. There's so many, but the general gist of it is that he is an entity of divine creation who then tests humans into doing evil or not. If we try to relate this back to the wall in a storytelling standpoint, it would tell us that the Wall of Samiel is simply a creation of Rukkhadevata to fulfill an innocent goal, to stop the desertification of the rainforest. It's just that. But as it seems, the meaning of the wall to the people has completely changed. Not because of what their benevolent God desired, but because of what the people in power decided it to be. This wall, though it may have been erected to protect the people of the rainforest, has become weaponized against the people of the desert. Instead of being a symbol of the protection of life, it has become a symbol of the huge inequality that the lives of many people in Sumeru face. And in this way has the mission of Samiel to test the humans' actions of good and evil have been accomplished, where they chose the latter. We stop and tell ourselves that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. But why do we never wonder why our grass will never be just as green as the ones on the other side?
I would tear down this wall with my own hands if I could.